Hi guys, and welcome back to Birmingham Fan TV. I hope you've all had a really good bank holiday. I know the cricket was good. Apart from that, I can't say too much on the football. It was a pretty dire weekend, to be honest. And yeah, I suppose let's rip this one off like a bad band-aid, to be honest. Because yeah, it's going to be a bit of a negative one. I'm sorry, this is not the intention to be negative, but how can I take many positives from that? Before we start, please don't forget to leave a like, guys. It means a lot to me, and it's going to make me a little bit more positive about this weekend. Please comment. Comments are going to be massive in this one, guys. So please comment your thoughts down below. What you thought of the game, and more importantly, let me know specifically what you think needs to change, improve, anything like that, where you guys think that we're going wrong. And don't forget to go and follow us on social media to be a little bit more active, because that's where we're trying to get most of our feedback from at the minute. Okay. Just want to say before I start as well, massive credit to the 1,300-ish Blues fans that travelled yesterday. Long way to go. I know myself, obviously I drove last year, I drove this year as well. It's a horrible journey. We did it, 12 o'clock, Sunday, Sky. So 1,300 of us to go. Massive credit to everybody that went yesterday. And obviously if you didn't, don't blame you. It was on Sky. So yeah, but obviously the final score was Swansea 3, Birmingham City 0. And overall, obviously the first half, I would say, we were resolute. I think that's the best I can take from it. Defensively, we looked okay. We looked solid. The shape of the team at the back was okay, which is where we played the majority of the game, was defensively on the back foot. And we looked okay. I think that Swansea didn't really get through us too many times. Other than Christian Pedersen had to clear one off the line in the first half. I think it was Selena who pulled it back onto his right foot, and Pedersen headed it off the line. But other than that, Swansea were really, really wasteful. In the first half, they wasted several good opportunities to really take a hold of the game early on. They didn't. They missed half chances. I think Blues, tried to counter-attack first half in numbers, but it didn't really work to any avail. I don't think we break with any real intention or pace or of threat. Sunic was probably the main driving force to get us up and out of midfield, and at times Seddon as well. But we never really looked a threat, to be honest, guys. Not trying to be negative, but just saying what I saw from the game and what you guys saw. And then the second half, Blues were really tested early on. Camp makes a brilliant fingertip save from a free kick that was lofted in from a header. And obviously he's kept us in the game with that one. He's kept us in the game numerous times in numerous different games. I can think of Bristol City, I can think of Brentford. So I had somebody that said on Twitter yesterday that Camp's been at fault for a lot of goals this season. I completely disagree. Completely disagree with Camp. I think he's probably been one of our best players this season. Like I said, Brentford, he made a tip save onto the bar. He made one-on-one save there. He made 2 one-on-one saves against Bristol. How many times has he kept us in games this season already? He's got 2 clean sheets already this season. What more do people want from Lee Camp? Like, seriously. The guy is consistent. I think that how many mistakes has he actually made this season? I can't count any. Somebody said he's made 3. I disagree. I'm sorry, I'm not having to go at this specific person, and they're entitled to their opinion, but for crying out loud, the guy is not Wonder Man. I think he's way more consistent than most of the goalkeepers we've had in the last sort of 5-6 years, other than Kujak. And then obviously the first goal comes. It comes from a lack of closing down. I think they brought Kyle Norton on at half time, who's a right back traditionally, I believe, and they played him on the left hand side. And to allow Kyle Norton, who we knew is right footed, in onto his right foot to score that goal from a tight angle was pathetic, to be honest. He's going to come onto his right foot. See him down the byline. He's not going to cross it with his left foot. Or if he does, it's a cross. We should be able to deal with it with sort of Harding, Pedersen, Dean, Roberts, plenty of aerial threat in that box. And to be honest, Swansea, really don't. I mean, Borja Baston's a good player, and I said yesterday he's a nightmare to deal with. He's like Duke with a bit more pace, and that's frightening. But ultimately, I didn't think they were that good. In the air, obviously, overall in the game, I thought they were excellent. They controlled the game. They're really impressive, and to say that they won't be in and around the automatic promotion / playoffs is lunacy. They'll be up there. So that was a really poor goal, and I think the second goal was just as disappointing. Fran Villalba gives the ball away way too easily. He's pushed off it in midfield, and he's done that a few times in the last couple of games. This is not criticism of Villalba, but he's got to be a bit quicker. However, I will get into why I think it's not to blame for him. And then, obviously, so much space on that left-hand side, so our right-hand side, Hardin's pushed on, which I'd expect from the wing-backs anyway, but nobody comes across to close him down. The right centre-back, Dean, does not come across to cover, and the guy's got so much time to lash that one in at the near post. And then the third goal, obviously, is a penalty, difficult one. There's no complaints from me. I thought it was a penalty. So, yeah, ultimately, that is an incredibly difficult and disappointing result. Now, I want to go into more in depth as to why we're disappointed. I'm seeing a 70-30 split on social media this weekend, saying some saying, obviously, not good enough. I think the majority are saying not good enough. This isn't good enough. A lot of the older heads saying, it was poor. Something's got to change. I want to state right now that I am not calling for a managerial sacking. No way. I'm not about that. That's not me. That's not a lot of Blues. And there's no bed sheets. There's no banners. There's no nothing. We go down there every week. We back that team 100%. No booing. Nobody booed yesterday, and nobody should boo, because that's horrible. I hate that when that happens. And no banners. We back that manager and we back those boys every time we get on the pitch. We back Cottrell for longer. We've backed Zola for longer. We back those teams. But I do worry. So I'm just going to put some of the stats up on the screen for you now. Swansea 12 shots to Birmingham's 4. Swansea had 6 shots on target to our 0. Incredibly disappointing stat that. Swansea completed 643 passes to our 174 passes. And some of the individual match player stats from the game are on your screen now. And it's disappointing. So if you look at some of the individual stats here, shots taken, 5 Swansea players in the top rankings for yesterday's game. Borja Baston, Selena, Norton, the left back, had more successful shots than Blues yesterday, who was brought on at half time. Ayew and Dehanda, the closest that Blues came yesterday was Lukas Jukovic, who had 2 off-target shots yesterday. Passes completed, again, only there was 5, I think, that completed passes. Everybody had more completed passes on that Swansea team other than Borja Baston, who was playing as a hold-up player, than Blues players. Freddie Woodman, playing in goal yesterday for Swansea City, had more successful passes than any of our team. I'll make I'll let you guys make your decisions up on that. But Christian Pedersen was the closest Blues player in that ranking. Chances created, I think we did a little bit better. Matt Grimes created 2, Borja Baston created 2, and then Seddon, Hardin, Jimenez and Crowley, who only played 20 minutes, all created 1. And then passes in the final third, again, I'll leave that one there. 8 players for Swansea at the top of that ranking. Fran Villalba was Birmingham's most creative player, with 7 successful passes out of 10 in the final third. Yeah, incredibly disappointing for Blues. Some of those stats, I'll leave them up on the screen just for a little bit here. Yeah, I mean, make of that what you will. I think that there's so many things yesterday that went wrong for Blues. And I don't know where to start, really. It's... Okay, the system, first of all, is being played all wrong. If you're going to play 3 at the back, you play as a 3 at the back. When we're playing this system at the minute, 90% of the time it's being played as a 5 at the back. Not a 3, a 5 at the back. It's incredibly negative. Now, okay, we're going to Swansea away. I said in my match preview that this was going to be difficult. And you're not going to go to Swansea and you're not going to control the game. You're not going to do that. You're not going to go and make more passes than them. You're not going to create more opportunities than them. But what you can go there and do is you can go and try to stamp your authority there. You can go and try to play the way that we've been trying to emphasise all summer and say, look, we're going to do it this way. This is the way that Birmingham City are going to begin to play. Now, we went to Forest, we lost 3-0. Yes, it was disappointing. But we went there and we played and we had, on the balance of play, we had similar possession. So we tried to keep the ball more. Now, the problem that day was woeful defending. And again, toothless going forward. Problem on Sunday was we didn't even have the ball to start with. It was, I said to Brummy Joe, who's behind me, that it was a training regime for the majority of the day. It was similar with we've had similar games. We had Barnsley for the first half. We just kept giving the ball to Barnsley. We ended up with 35% possession. That night I think we ended up with 25 again yesterday. 25 at Brentford. Why? Why are we doing this? We've managed to go from a team that counter-attacks, where we probably have, on the balance of it, 38 to 45 maybe possession. We're now going to 25% and we're trying to be a team that can control games. We're going backwards with a philosophy that encourages possession. Now, okay, we weren't going to go there and have massive amounts of the ball, but we're not even doing what we're saying we're going to do now. We just turned into a team yesterday that thought we're going to sit here and hold out. And I'm seeing people blame the defence. I'm not going to sit here and blame the defence for anything yesterday, because there's only so long that they can hold out before, it's going to be breached. There's only so long you can kick a ball at a window before it breaks. Simple as. That defence held out well for 60 minutes, and then ultimately the system failed it. We were consistently under pressure, and with a team like Swansea, they're going to beat you eventually. Unless they have a really off day, they're going to get through. Why are we so deep? What are we scared of? Why do we play on the edge of our own box still? It makes no sense. Another thing I want to say, Birmingham City went out and signed 3 midfielders this summer. Out of the 5... 6 players we bought in. So we bought in Jimenez, Montero, Clark Salter, and then Villalba, Crowley and Sunjic. 2 of the 3 midfielders were on yesterday. And every time we got the ball across the back line, so we looked to play out, so we kept the ball 1, 2, maybe even 3 passes across the back line. We pinged the ball up to Jukovic. What's the point? Why have we gone out and spent money on a kid from Valencia who can play football and is there to be, to take the ball? And, Pep said he's a player that can play through the lines and he can bring us up the pitch. So you give him the ball and he'll, transition from defence to attack. And Sunjic is exactly the same. We saw the videos of him. We know what he can do. While he is a holding midfielder, he's really good on the ball. He can pick a pass. He's composed. He doesn't panic. And even David Davis has looked really solid on the ball, which blows me away at the start of the season. Why every time we got the ball yesterday was that ball pinged 45 yards, 50 yards up to a Jukovic and Jimenez, who were 25 yards apart from each other, because that's how they were pulled by the Swansea defenders, no fault of their own. And then they were completely isolated yesterday. Made no sense again. I don't know. What's the point in having that midfield there if we're going to just give the ball, away? Why do we panic at the back? We said we need to be more composed. Well, be more composed then. Those players have got to, make those decisions themselves. So, that's pretty much my rant out of the way. And then other than the fullbacks as well, who I've said previously in the podcast and all of that they are way too deep, and they are still way too deep. These wing-backs are supposed to be attacking. So they get at their man and they pretty much provide the width for the forwards. They barely get past the halfway line unless the whole team is shifted up. When they get the ball, they need to go at their men. And I know half the time they're 2-on-1, but that again, I think the system is completely failing them. So that's my rant out of the way. I've said what I need to say. Let's get into some of your match reactions on Twitter. So go and follow us for next week. If it's good, I want to hear your good opinions for next week. If they're bad, obviously leave them down below again. Jack, obviously we all know Jack BCFC said before the game we'd be on the end of a battering, but that was absolutely pathetic. No outlet or support to Duke at all, with our wing-backs providing no width or attacking threat. Long old season ahead. Lee W1875 says, I'll be polite because I like you. Where to start? It seems we never seem to learn from the same mistakes. We was fortunate to beat a poor Barnsley on Tuesday. The tactics and performance are just not acceptable. If you're going to play a passing game, learn to pass. Again, it's the same sort of opinions that come up as what I say, as what everyone else says. Looks like we're set up to fall for a fall. Not enough quality when we had the ball. 5-yard passes going astray. We sat in far too deep, inviting pressure, and not all of them look on the same page in terms of style. A lot of hoofing. Swansea are a good team, but we paid them far too much respect. I completely agree with everything you said. That was Lee Watson 04. Lee Wildman says, interesting fact, our possession stats have gone backwards from last season. How is that meant to help us going forward? Thankfully, Stoke look worse than us. Next home game gives us hope. And yeah, I agree, but isn't that so set up for a typical Blues to, have a team come down that haven't won all season and come and beat us? But, and Lee says again, he follows on, he says, we can't continue to play this 5-3-2 and having less possession. All this is going to do is invite every team onto us. And with no pace as an outlet, we're going to struggle. Duke and Jimenez don't look like they have the understanding up front. Maybe a 4-2-3-1 would be better for us. Chris Tyler says, I'm going October before the puppet gets back in his boxing. I think that is an interesting comment aimed towards Pep and the board maybe. Bain the Brummie says 4 away matches including the Cup, lost 3, won 1 and conceded 9. It's not the best start to the season, but it's a long road. We can and will bounce back. Fair point. LFTF Andy says trying to play what is supposed to be champagne football with lemonade. Again, interesting way of looking at things. And Joshua Garbett says we need Colin back at right back so we can shift Harding in for Roberts. Too much of a liability today. Only in the team for his long throw-ins. Would have been interesting if Montero was eligible. No pace up top, so it makes it difficult without the ball. So that's just a few of your comments on the Twitter page from yesterday. One thing I will say about Roberts, I think he's been our best defender so far this season. I thought Pedersen was our best player on the pitch yesterday, so he gets my man of the match. But I think Roberts sometimes is used as a scapegoat. I'm not saying he plays well every week. I'm not saying he plays like prime Maldini, but there's no way that he's played poorly this season. I don't see it. He wasn't great yesterday, and I don't think anybody was particularly great. But Roberts seems to be singled out quite a lot. And I think, in my personal opinion, Dean's been the worst defender on the pitch most games this season. I think he was at fault for a lot of mistakes against Bristol. Brentford, he was very open. And yeah, okay, Roberts gave away the penalty yesterday. It wasn't a great tackle. But I find that, in terms of positioning, there's worse players out on the pitch. But, let me know, guys. I think that the system is to blame. And I think if you're going to play this 3, you've got to play it right. So we're not playing it right. Switch and go to a back 4, in my opinion, for next week, guys. But thank you so much for watching. It's been a long video. I thought I'd try and get some of that off my chest and try and let you guys digest some of that from yesterday and let me know what you think, guys. But don't forget, if you have made it this far, comment down below, like the video, subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any of the videos, and put the notification bell on so you're informed of my inconsistent timings with videos. But thanks so much, guys. Hopefully next week against Stoke, we all know we'll be there, we all know we'll back the boys. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a better result. Keep right on.